Hello everybody, good afternoon, welcome back. We're going to do some more Alka Mortis stuff, obviously. Actually, today I'm starting on a brand new game and Alka Mortis is going in the trash. I'm kidding. That's not happening. Anyway, before we get started, I want to remind everyone that Alka Mortis is available for wishlisting on Steam. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto-battler where you can create your own builds and synergies using alchemy to mix cards and their abilities. So if that sounds fun to you, definitely give it a wish list. And also join the Discord because I run periodic playtests, and we'll be doing another playtest here hopefully in like a month or so to test all the new map changes. So if you want to be a part of that playtest, join the Discord so you can stay up to date when that is all happening. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome back. Nothing. Good to see you. Welcome. Nice to be the first one in the live stream. Finally, I'm on time for a stream again. Hello, A the Ant. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Jackie Daytona. Good to see you as well. Good afternoon. It's time for game dev once again. Alka Mortis prequel win. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe there will be a whole Alka Mortis extended universe and we'll have like some movies and stuff. The Alka Mortis movie. No. Anyway, So we ended the stream this morning with adding this ability, which absorbs abilities from the enemy card, from enemy cards. So when combat starts, it gets all of the enemy abilities. And then what it does is it replaces any currently absorbed abilities that it has. And then what it does is it grabs a random set of the enemy abilities and will add those as composed abilities to itself. So basically what's happening is, if I go into the game here, this first startup is always so long. Alchemortis the movie, the game, the musical, yeah. So I got this God mode here, absorbs up to two random abilities from enemy cards on combat start if this card is on the top edge of the board. So we'll put that card on the top edge of the board, and you'll see that it doesn't have those abilities. And then when I start the combat, you can see that it's taken bleed and heal from those. So we want to add some kind of like absorbed text here. Add some kind of absorbed text, and then also what? I think that's it. So some absorbed text. And then we also need to come up with an actual card design for this. So if you've got any ideas for a theme for a card that can have this absorbability, then let me know. Sorry, I was just thinking, interrupting my own train of thought with other thoughts. But yeah, we should be able to add this prefix here of, let's see, absorbed ability dot set description prefix. We could do something like this. I probably want to highlight the keyword. I mean, maybe not. So actually one problem is, let me think about this. Those absorbed abilities will be retained, I think. Oh, wait a minute. I actually didn't try. I need to set these as not alchemizable. Do I need to set those as not alchemizable? So one thing that's weird with the alchemy here is that if I absorb an ability, absorb this ability, so that has absorbed text there. But if I do alchemy here, I think it will pass those absorbed abilities onto other cards. Let me see. Yeah, so that now has heal, and it lost the absorb description prefix. Interesting. Okay. So what I think I need to do is I need to make it so that absorbed abilities are not alchemizable. I think I can just change that. So if I do absorbed ability dot set oh, this is a override. Is alchemizable true? Let's see. I think I need to make these protected fields. I'm overriding this in a bunch of places. Actually, let me think. So these are overridable getters. Oh, that's unfortunate. Ooh, does that need to be that way? So these are overridable getters, but I need to be able to set something is not alchemizable. Let's see. Shoot, I'm going to need to figure out how to restructure this. I currently don't have a way of setting an ability as not alchemizable apart from like the construction of it. So I'm not able to do like set is alchemizable here to false. Oh man. How are we going to do this? Oh no, I'm watching the earlier stream right now. I can't keep up. Oh no. Welcome, Wooius. Hello, Bubblegum Lord. If it's something that takes the abilities of an enemy, I could see a Mimic or an Assassin-like character. Oh, a Mimic is a good one. Maybe Shadows that can trap abilities. That's a good one. Shadows would be fun and terrifying. Is it a good idea for a new card? Yeah, it should be. Mimic card would be cool. Great idea. Yeah, Mimic is good. I just sneezed myself into getting lightheaded. Hello, Emerson. Good to see you again. So I need a way of changing this. One thing I could do potentially... Wait, maybe I can't do this. So I could do is alchemizable here. Does that work? What happens when I... I don't think I want to do that either. I might just have to move these into constructor functions here. Constructors. Shoot. Oh well. We'll figure it out. Hello, Jaeger Bombify. First time catching stream. Just wanted to say thank you for the Godot C# utility library you have. Absolute time saver. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I'm actually going to probably add some stuff to the source generators as well. Because one thing that I'm a little bit annoyed with is if I go to like my map container here, I'm kind of annoyed with like if you have a reference to a node that could potentially be null, but you want to connect to those signals, you have to do this whole long thing, right? And then if you have arguments, you need to specify all the type arguments here. What I would love to do is update my source generator in the Godot utilities library so that I could do something more akin to this, like run manager dot connect to node occupied, something like that. and then do callable, or and then I could just pass in on node occupied like this. I would love to add to my source generator something like that. That would be a lot cleaner than writing this, especially when you have like, when you get up to like 2 and 3 arguments in here, it starts to get really messy. So that's something I might play with a little bit later, but yeah, anyway, I'm glad that you like the Godot Utilities library. I'm probably going to add some more improvements to it, hopefully. But we will see. Good afternoon, Ninja Link. Good to see you again. Anyway, we got to figure out what to do with this mess here. I need to be able to set this as not alchemizable. This probably just can't be a virtual... probably can't be a virtual thing anymore. Well, public bool is alchemizable. Get protected set is equal to true. And then is copyable will do the same thing. I'm just going to have to refactor all this stuff now. Oh, look at all the red. I don't think I need to store these now, though. That's the thing. Because then I can just do is alchemizable here, is copyable there. Base composed ability, duplicate. Make sure to put those in there as well. Let's put all of these true ones up here. Okay. Just be very careful not to break anything when I'm doing this. I guess it's not that terrible. Public, alchemy, strip legendary. Alchemy, remove negative. This is one of those areas where I probably should tell the AI just to do it, but oh well. All of this work just to support one different ability type. Can you believe that? Oh, I'm going to need the constructor here. Alchemy critical chance modifier. False. Okay, last one. Okay, did I fix everything now? So now I can go to my base composed ability. Public void set is alchemizable. All right. Okay. So anyway, now back to the God mode here. Absorbed ability dot set is alchemizable. False. So hopefully what I should see is now when I do alchemy with this, the absorbed abilities should not be taken into account when putting abilities onto other cards, but it should be preserved on the card that owns the absorbed abilities. So there's only one way to find out. We got to test it. Selfishly agree that this is a great idea. Yeah, I might even do that tonight, honestly, because I mean, don't tell anyone, but what I'm probably going to do is, because the source generators are kind of confusing, I'm just going to open up the project with Copilot and say, hey, add this to the source generator. But don't tell anyone, okay? People don't like when you vibe code things, so it'll be our secret. I mean, I kind of vibe coded the source generators before the AI agents were a thing. I found an existing source generator repository and I just cloned that, and then I just stripped away everything that I didn't need. And then rewrote the source generator, like the actual text generators, to fit what I was trying to do. So I didn't really understand the source generators then. I don't understand the source generators now. But the point is that it works, right? Oh, now it says innate on it. Ah. Dang it. Dang it. All right, we got a number of things to fix here. But that's okay. Let's see if this works. Okay, so that did not get those. Oh, but it lost the absorbed tag. Okay, so where is that innate being added? Source generators are annoying to set up, but can be amazing time savers. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. So we're probably going to get rid of the description prefix here since we're setting it as absorbed. Okay, innate prefix. All right, so let's just do something like this. Let's do var prefix is equal to is absorbed question mark absorbed. We'll make this a keyword too, so that way you can have that string.empty. If if not is alchemizable, and string.is null or empty prefix, then we'll set prefix equals to innate. Okay. And then we're going to say prefix here, prefix there. So instead of trying to modify this description prefix every time, we're just going to look at the flags on the ability and see if we're absorbed first. If we're absorbed, that's going to be the prefix for the description. And if we're not an absorbed ability, then we're going to look at the alchemizable flag and set the innate prefix on there instead. So hopefully that works. Okay, so we've got absorbed here. Perfect. Now, when I do the alchemy, I should see that the absorbed tag will stay now. Yeah, so the absorbed tag has stayed, and I shouldn't see any of those absorbed abilities on the crystal ball, but they are preserved here. Okay, so absorbed is basically going to function just like innate. It's just going to have a slightly different tag. And then I also need to change this down here. So we're going to need ability explanations. Innate. Let's do one for absorbed. I wonder if I should do that with the fungus then too. The fungus spore. I don't know. Figure that out, I guess. So it's basically the same description though, but I am going to have to go down here. Innate explanation. So let's do additional explanation. We're going to make this one giant ternary operation. Look at that. That is eminently readable. Don't you agree? Anyway, I don't really care that much about that though. And then we need to go to the description utils now. And this tag self name, is this used anywhere? Interesting. Anyway. I think that's it. We just add the absorbed to that dictionary there. Okay. Let's see if it works. Oh, I forgot to actually absorb abilities. Oops. Let's go absorb some abilities here. Ah, I still did it wrong. What is this doing? Oh, it's projecting. Oh my gosh, it's projecting all these echoes. Okay, I kind of messed up my whole test there. Deal 2 damage, apply 7 preserve. Perfect. Grab this. There we go. So it still has the absorbed tag, and if I open this up, absorbed abilities cannot be transferred to other cards via alchemy. Cool. All right then. I like the strategic potential that's here. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I need to do with that? Oh, sort absorbed abilities before negative abilities. Right, because if I go again... So if I go again, let me think. Yeah, if I do another round of absorption here, I think those new absorbed abilities will be placed at the bottom of the description. Yeah, so they're at the bottom there. So I think what I want to do is I just want to make the negative abilities always sorted at the bottom of the card, which is going to be a little bit tricky, I suppose. But let's do that next. Okay. So, and that will also give us opportunities to do more abilities that have the absorb effect as well. So that'll be fun. So for sorting the abilities, I guess I could just do it anytime I add a composed ability. Where is that? Add composed abilities. Is there a way to add range at an index? I think that might be better than sorting it. I mean, I guess I could sort. It doesn't matter. Yeah, maybe we just sort. This dot composed abilities dot sort. This sorts it in place, right? And this shouldn't change the ordering of the existing abilities, right? That one doesn't need a sort. So I think this is fine. Okay, so that has absorbed abilities there. Now let's go ahead and do the alchemy. Okay, so those negative abilities are at the end. I put this back up here. And now with this, let me see the God mode here. Yeah, so the absorbed abilities now are sorted at the end of the list before the negatives. And it's not changing the ordering of the existing abilities either. So that makes sense, I think. Let's just give it one more shot for good measure. Yeah, okay. Cool. I think we're good with that then. Gotta love those one-line changes. So we just need to do flavor text for that now. Oh, no. I actually need to come up with a card. So somebody said shadows. Oh, somebody said a mimic, though. A mimic would be fun, I think. A mimic would be fun. Do I have the ability to draw a mimic? Let's see. Can I do it as a 2x1? That may not be enough space. I already have a ton of 2x2 cards. Let's see. Player card dimensions. I have 17 2x2s. I don't have a whole lot of 2x1s, but I don't know if I could do a mimic in a 2x1. I may not be able to, but we could try it, I suppose. 3x2 minus 0, 1. Minus 2, 1. Oh, that's like a T shape, right? Shadows would still be dope. Yeah, I could see both of them. I don't know how I would draw shadows, though. That seems hard. I could try, though, if we want to see shadows. Is it still appropriate to do like a 2x1 for them? How many 1x3 cards do I have? I've got 3 1x3 cards. 3x2. God knows how much I want to buy your course and try what you're doing, but since I'm in Iran, we don't have stuff like PayPal. I should just keep dreaming about it. Oh, well, you probably, I don't know what the situation is there, but I'm sure you can access some kind of content. I'm not the only Godot course creator out there, so I'm sure you can find something. Sure, you can find something. I can see it as a wide card. The chest at the bottom and some tendrils coming out. All right, let's try the Mimic, because I do want to kind of try it. We'll see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but let's do Mimic. Create. And then I'll reserve the Shadows idea for another day. Or we can move on. We could do Shadows if the Mimic doesn't work out. How many items do I have in here? Oh, it doesn't tell me. Maybe it'll be possible. We'll see. So maybe I'll start. I mean, Mimics usually have tongues, right? So maybe I'll start with that and see if I can just like draw around that, maybe. So maybe it might have to be like a zoomed in view of it. I'm just going to get some rough shape in place here. This is kind of a weird perspective to draw this at. So maybe if we start with like, I don't know. Oh, this is going to really challenge my perspective drawing skills. Let's see. I almost feel like this needs to be something like that. This is going to be a little bit of a struggle here. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle. That's okay. Okay, we might be getting there. Yeah, the problem is even if I made this look good, there's still a bunch of space over here that's not really used. Might have to make this a bigger card. Mimic, I got jump scared by one last night. Nice. Hello, Leginger Dev. Welcome, welcome. How's it going, my dude? Everything all right? Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Could add a hand reaching for the loot or something. Yeah, that might work. I just don't know if this, like... Oops. I don't know if this whole approach is working. Something like this, maybe. It's too... He's too skinny. I mean, he needs to be skinny, but... Yeah, something like that could work. But this whole side over here is a little bit weird. What button am I pressing that makes it do that? Maybe I'm getting close here. I don't know, I'm still just kind of like drawing the shape just to see if I can get it to where I want it to be. I think the tongue and the arm are good. It just needs to be... Maybe like that? Something? I don't know. It's going to be really hard to get this detail in here that I need, but I think it should be possible. I wonder if I just do like really big teeth. I don't think this needs to be attached to the lid. This needs to be like out here because I'm going to need something like gums or something here. Maybe even move this out more. Maybe I don't do teeth at all. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about this whole section here. But I think at least this tongue looks all right. Maybe. It's amazing what a little bit of shading will do. Well, tongue's a little bit weird, but that's all right. I don't know about this. I'm good. I did an 11-hour stream finish recently. Oh wow, wow, 11 hours. That I don't even know if I'd be coherent after an 11-hour stream. Just like coins, gems, make it snake-like tongue. Isn't it better? Maybe. A little bit tired. Want to know if you're joining the next fest with your game or the next one. Yeah, I don't know. I will join whatever next fest is closest. Like, I'm not going to join a next fest until my game is ready. So whatever next fest ends up being closest to the actual published date is the one that I will join. Yeah, something about this just looks weird. That's starting to look a little bit better, I suppose. Yeah, I think it's starting to look a little bit better. We'll figure out what to do about that shading later. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Now, what to do in here? I meant a hand coming from the right side reaching towards the chest. Oh, well, it has its own mimic hand now. But a mimic with an arm does seem creepy, yeah. I'm kind of like, you know, like the Dark Souls mimics, they sprout full like legs and arms. I just need to figure out like what to do with this area here. I mean, I don't even necessarily need to do something with this area. I'm wondering if I could just do like one giant tooth here. If I could make it look like a tooth. Actually, I might have to get rid of the highlights on here, but does that seem okay? Let's see. I might have to do... Yeah, I don't know about this whole part here. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to me. I could maybe, let me think about this. Maybe if I move the tongue into there more, maybe that would be all right. Let's see. I don't know. This is tough. This is very tough. Okay, actually, that looks better. Yeah, that looks better. And now I have even more room to do a different tooth here. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. Is there something else I could do with this? A mimic looks really cool for such a small canvas. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's almost there. It's just this chest part is just kind of messing with me a little bit. Anyway, draw teeth around and add eyes in the dark area like there's someone in there. Yeah, I could do that. The problem is there's not enough room to... The problem with this small canvas size is that adding detail oftentimes will actually just make the art muddier rather than clearer. So it's kind of a problem of like, how do you want to represent what you want to represent in as few pixels as possible that keeps the art readable? Because I think right now, I think it's readable. I think you could tell that it's a chest with a tongue and an arm coming out of it. The problem is, if I try to add any detail in here, then it starts to like lose a lot of definition. And so that's just kind of like the main problem right now. Like, I would love to add teeth and eyes and everything, but I could use like maybe single pixels. Yeah, maybe single pixels work. Sorry about that. It's too hard to have both teeth and eyes. It's in the either or situation, I think. Yeah, I think so. New card, who dis? Mimic? Yeah. I'm glad that you guys are knowing that it's a mimic. Maybe yellow, green, dark green for the chest, like the wood is rotten. Oh, sorry, 1 second. My friend is asking me for the stream. Let me send him the link. Hold on a second. Let me send him the link here. Okay. I don't know. How do we feel about the teeth? Is the teeth okay? Yeah, I feel like maybe that's okay, actually. For the green, yeah, the problem is I don't really have a yellow green or dark green. These are the colors that I have. I could try to make the chest blue instead. We could definitely give that a shot. I don't think that's going to work. Maybe. The one thing that I don't really like about this palette is like this purple and this blue, they don't really look that good together to me. What I could potentially do though, now that I'm playing with the blue there, could make the arm blue instead. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. I meant those colors from the palette. We could do a blue arm if the blue arm looks good. Well, I might just call it good for now. I think the teeth are fine. Can't really do much about this section either. I don't know. It's probably okay. Oh wait, I think I like that better. Hold on a second. Do I like that better? Yes. Okay, well, it's probably okay. Could give it some more thickness like this, maybe. Okay, well, it's mostly there, can be touched up at a later point. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine for now. It's good enough to add to the game. We'll just do one more thing here. Just one more thing, and I just keep destroying it. Okay, well, whatever. I have a random idea for reagents art. Carnivorous plants. There are so many beautiful different ones which could have nice effects. Ooh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Bolter. Welcome back to the stream. I need to move my reagent ideas. Maybe I'll do this, just to start. I'll just put the carnivorous plant. Carnivorous plant there. Anyway, let's get this into the game then. Mimic art. All right. So we'll get that mimic into the game, but first I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, like I said, we'll get that into the game, and then we'll find something else to do. So, BRB in just 3 minutes. I come bearing cat, who is promptly going to run away because I stole her spot away from the vent. Okay. Goodbye. Let's get this mimic into the game now. Cat, yes. Hello, I am Laxon. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so what do we want to do for the mimic here? We're going to give it a relatively large turn cooldown, I think. Is this a minion? Probably. Do we want to give it any other tags? Maybe a relic as well? A minion relic? That sounds good to me. This is a 2x1. Okay. Debug. Kitty, yeah. I freaking love those cats. Mimic. And there's no room for the mimic. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks decent in-game. I can't really complain about that. Probably some stuff to do. But let me delete this. I need to add a debug thing to change the tier of cards. Anyway, yeah, that doesn't look bad in-game. Gotta sleep, have school, promise I'll follow the process. Alright, sounds good, nothing. Thanks for joining. Very much appreciate that. And I hope you have a good night. Alright, well, yeah, the mimic works. The mimic works. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get that ability that I put on the God mode. This absorb ability. We're going to bring this out of God mode. We'll put the 10,000 damage back on God mode. And then we'll go to the mimic here. Paste that there. Grab this. Cool. All right then. I don't think we need to give the mimic any other abilities here because it's going to be absorbing abilities. Oh, you know what? I wonder if this... Oh, you know what? This might absorb abilities if it's at the top of the inventory. It did. Oh no. Okay. I think that should be an easy fix. So we have this combat start listener, which has this context. I think I could just do... why is this all messed up? Something seems wrong to me here. Maybe not. Oh yeah, there we go. What in the heck? Why is the spacing all wrong? What? Okay. What? Why does it keep Is this not indented correctly? What is going on with my formatting? Is it correct now? Or was it always correct? I feel like I'm just... Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. See what I mean? It's like if I tab over, it's going way... Okay, something is very wrong here. Okay, all right. I think we're good. It must format it based on the space that the outer parentheses is on. So when this is offset, well, I can't actually offset it manually. Yeah, when that's offset, it offsets everything else. Okay, so it's in relation to that top parentheses, and that was off by 1 for some reason. Okay, I knew something was weird. Anyway, var player board. We'll just do if not context dot player board dot has dot board inventory component dot has card context dot base card, then we'll just return. So that will prevent it from running inside of the inventory. I'm watching 3 dev streams all at the same time. Well, I will compete to be the best one. The majority of your attention. Artindi, welcome back. Maybe need to convert from space to tabs. Yeah, it should be using spaces. The white space indicators here, I don't know if you can see them, but they're indicating that these are spaces here. So, are you using tabs as spaces? I get annoyed at VS Code's default compared to Visual Studio. Tabs as spaces, yeah. I have spaces 4 configured. I know you can't probably see this, but spaces 4 is configured. So a tab is 4 spaces. But yeah, I figured it out. I got it. How do you organize your code base? Hello, conglomerate. I want to code in a way that won't be tedious to add features in, but I'm not familiar with what's the rule of thumb in organizing in game dev. So I don't know if there is like a rule of thumb. Every person or every team is going to have a slightly different way of organizing things. The most important thing is that you're consistent with how you organize it. You don't want to change like your organization patterns, every 3 weeks in the project. Because at the end of the day, what the organization needs to serve is it needs to serve your productivity. That's the end goal, right? And so if you're spending a lot of time trying to find stuff in your project, that means that your organization is not working for you. But if you just like put together your own organization, your own folder structure and everything, and you can find everything instantly, then it's fine. The most important thing is that you be consistent though, because for example, if I'm looking for an ability in my game, I know that it's going to be inside of the ability folder, which sounds pretty obvious, right? I know that anything that is a pure class in my project is going to be inside of this data namespace, which is not really, that's probably not a great namespace because it's not data, it's like a bunch of logic and stuff. But again, it doesn't matter. I know that anything that's a pure class is going to exist in this data namespace here. So if I'm looking for something that isn't attached to a scene in Godot, that's where I'm going to find it, right? Anything that is attached to a scene is going to be inside of the script folder that mirrors the scene directory. So if I have a scene autoload announcements, then script autoload announcements is where I'm going to find my script, right? But at the end of the day, like I said, it's just the most important thing is that the organization is serving your productivity. And so you just got to find a system, find a way of doing things that makes it that you're not hunting for files for any more than a couple seconds, right? You want to be able to quickly find things, quickly add things. And yeah, so I don't know if that's super helpful, but I'm on the other side of that religion. You use tabs instead. I don't really care that much. I think I just default to spaces because that's what I did as a professional engineer, software engineer. We use spaces for everything, so I just brought that habit over. Thanks, very informative as always. It's great that you're always up on stream when I'm working on my project. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, what was I going to do? I'm going to test to make sure that that is fixed. So I'll put the Mimic up there, and then when I start the combat here, the Mimic should not get... Yeah, it did not absorb any abilities. Perfect. But now, if I put it up here... I think this might be the first minion relic card that I have. Yeah, there we go. It's working now. Perfect. Okay. Sounds good. I think I have a Mimic written down here somewhere. Let me check. Okay, so that's done. I do need to add the Mimic here because I need to add flavor text. Do you only hand code or do you also engage in agentic coding? I use the AI agents on occasion to do like rote stuff. So one example is I needed a method to create a Roman numeral from text. And so I just had the AI write me a 2 Roman numeral method because it's like, you know, that was something that I was just going to go and copy and paste from Stack Overflow anyway. This is not a critical part of my system that I need to understand. All I need to know is that given an input number, it's going to output a string that represents a Roman numeral. I don't really care how it works, you know what I mean? But I don't have the agents do stuff that is like critical to the design of my system. So like when I'm creating my abilities and when I'm setting up the systems needed to support the new abilities that I'm making and when I'm doing alchemy and all that stuff, I need to have intimate knowledge of how that stuff works. And so I don't use the agents for that kind of thing. The other place where I will use agents sometimes is in shaders. So if I'm trying to do a more complicated shader, like this shockwave shader here, this one I just did it with an AI chat basically. Because shaders are hard. I don't really know what I'm doing with shaders. And again, it's one of those things where I don't really care how the shader works. The only thing I care about is how it looks. So, but I do write some of my own shaders as well, especially when they're simpler. But yeah, so I would say shaders and those like one-off functions that I have that I don't really care how they work. I just need to get a certain output. Those are where I will use the AI. And then I also consult with AI on like performance enhancements. So if I've got a block of my code that is like not super performant, sometimes asking the AI how the performance can be improved helps. But yeah, I'm not like fully into the vibe coding, just use it sparingly in very specific circumstances. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Spooky Gamer Videos. All right, what are we going to do now? Let's take a look at my to-do list here. So this one might be an easy fix. This one will not be an easy fix. We could play around with some VFX stuff, maybe. I do want to rework Holy, this Holy status, because the problem with Holy now is that it's just like a Thorns mechanic. So when the enemy has a Holy status, every time one of your card executes, you're just going to take that Holy damage, which kind of makes it feel bad if you've got like a really good synergy going because you just blow yourself up. So I think I'm going to change Holy so that it's not Thorns. Instead, it's going to be, it just adds damage to every enemy card instead. So whenever an enemy executes, so let's say the enemy has 2 Holy. Whenever an enemy card executes, it will just add 2 Holy damage to that execution instead of dealing 2 Holy damage whenever your cards execute. I think that's a change that I want to make to that. I have the same approach. I do the core systems and I make it in a way that I can use AI to expand those. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way of using it. There's this bug here. Legendary fire ability turn cooldown is increasing every execution. Maybe we'll fix that one. I think this one's done. Okay, let's do this one up here. Let's fix whatever's wrong with this legendary fire ability. I'm gonna see if I can figure out what's going on in here. Self-turn cooldown modification base penalty. Oh. I actually don't know if I'm going to be able to figure out why this isn't working. Let's do card.add composed abilities. Legendary abilities. What is the fire ability here? Permanent fire growth is 0. Actually, let me see where this is being used. Maybe it's not being duplicated. No, it is being duplicated there. Okay, so we're good. What? So I've got Crystal Ball. All right, what is the Mimic? The Mimic has 12 turn cooldown. There was an issue where this was increasing the turn cooldown like multiple times or something. Yeah, 20. It went up to 28 there. Is it? It might be executing. Yeah, so it must be executing that non-combat ability every time. Okay, why is that happening then? So there's this non-combat ability here, this self-turn cooldown increase, which is a part of the execution list, but that should be filtered out. That should be filtered out by the non-combat status. Let's take a look at the base card here. Get combat. Combat. Get all flattened. Combat abilities. Here we go. So we're filtering out anything where it's not a non-combat ability. Why is that not... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I see. Wait, get all composed abilities. Get all composed abilities. Collect composed abilities recursively, top level composed abilities. This is iterating. So just to explain my ability system again. Oh, wow. Thank you, Ty Buttram. Only the best from Fire Valley. Thank you for the $20. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you, thank you. That's very generous. I appreciate it. That'll go into my McDonald's fund. You are feeding a starving artist, and not only are you feeding a starving artist, but you're feeding him an overabundance of calories. So, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. More double quarter pounders with cheese for me. So yeah, thank you again for that. So when I collect the combat abilities recursively, what is going on here? So this is, so my ability system, it's basically an ability tree. I have abilities. So basically everything is an ability. That's kind of the way it works. Oops. I just bumped F5. So if I look at this legendary ability, which is the one that's in question here, this composed ability here, it extends base composed ability. This extends base card ability. Base card ability is like the smallest unit. That's the very basic ability. But composed abilities, they are abilities, but they have lists of abilities that they are responsible for. So basically, I have like composed abilities, which are a group of a bunch of other composed abilities or other base abilities, but those all operate as a unit. So the top level composed ability, which would be like this permanent fire growth here, this is the thing that actually generates the description that ends up on your card. And then everything that's internal to this composed ability is a part of making that whole unit work together. But when I go to execute abilities on a card, everything is flattened. So even though it's a tree, it's flattened into a linear list, and then all of the abilities are executed in sequence. So even stuff like this execution count provider, which just tells me how many times has this ability executed, that itself gets executed, but all that happens during that ability's execution is the turn counter goes up. But what that does is that makes that number available for anything that happens after that execution. So if I want to change the damage of something based on the number of executions, I will execute the execution count provider first, and then that number will be updated and can be used in any of the following abilities. So I think the core, one of the problems here is that this self-turn cooldown increases a non-combat ability, which is an ability that updates outside of combat. Most abilities only execute during combat, but these non-combat abilities, they execute outside of combat. So the self-turn cooldown modification modifies the turn cooldown of this card, but that doesn't follow any sort of combat logic. It's just a flat modification. So that happens outside of combat. But this is a composed ability as well that is nested here in this abilities list. So what I need to do in the base card is basically I need to go through that whole ability tree, and I need to collect all of the composed abilities that are descendants of the ability that I'm looking at. And I need to do that so that I can then flatten the list and execute everything properly. So this get all composed abilities is getting every composed ability, even the ones that are nested. But what I'm not so certain on is that I'm only getting the combat executable abilities when I'm doing the execution as part of the card's turn. So when execute abilities gets called here, I am getting all the combat executable abilities. Get all flattened combat abilities. Yeah. And so what this is doing is this is collecting all the composed abilities recursively, but then it's filtering out anything that's a non-combat composed ability. So that's the part that I don't understand, is that since this is a non-combat composed ability, that should not be accounted for when doing the execution. But that's apparently not the case, because it's increasing the turn cooldown every time. Well, I could just put a breakpoint here and see what's happening in here. My ability system is a context-free grammar. Is that what it is? I don't know. The last time I learned about grammars was in college when we wrote our own compiler, and I promptly forgot everything. Promptly forgot it. So that's going to go first. We can let that go. It looks like it's going to go again, but the next one... Hold on a second. I want to get rid of all these stuff. All of these stuff. Okay. Oh. It's not actually excluding the non-combat composed ability. Why is that not happening? Collect composed abilities recursively, all abilities. Sharima, get down. Sharima, you're not allowed to sit on the router. You know that. Thank you. This is the router sitter right here. You're a dirty router sitter. Do you know that? Anyway. So I don't know why this isn't working. This is, for some reason... This is still returning. Get all combat executable composed abilities. Oh, I guess... Oh, right. So... It's not filtering out anything that's... Okay. It doesn't filter out anything that's nested within this ability. Get all flattened composed abilities. Maybe flattened composed abilities? Flattened combat abilities? No. Self-turn cooldown modification is in there too. Why is that not working? Oh, yeah, so I guess it's only working with the... What? So it's collecting all the composed abilities recursively. It filters out... It filters out anything that's not a combat ability. But the problem is the combat ability that's returned will still have a nested non-combat ability, so that's the problem. Although... Yeah, so I guess this isn't really doing what I wanted it to do. Now the question is, are there any other places where I'm nesting a non-combat ability like this? Let's see. Yeah, there's another situation here with the Corvid. Is this not working the way that I wanted it to work? Yeah, the cat is cute, yeah. Gosh, this class. Maybe this isn't working the way that I thought it was. So the fundamental problem is, like, it's filtering out all the abilities that I need to execute, but then it's not... Is this even doing anything? That's a scary question. What is this actually doing? So what this is doing is this will say, for each of the source abilities in here, for each of the composed abilities, we're going to add that ability to the target collection. But then what we're going to do is we're going to look... This is just wrong. This doesn't do anything. So then we're going to get all of the abilities that are listed as abilities to execute of type base composed ability. And then we're going to collect, we're going to keep like recursing through the through that ability tree. But the problem is that I actually don't understand that. I actually don't understand that because the composed ability is already in the ability execution list. I almost need to, wherever I'm calling this collect composed abilities recursively, since those are being pulled out into a flattened list, I almost need to okay, so basically the way that's happening is that if I have a bunch of nested composed abilities, it's just pulling all of those out as a flattened list. But then the problem is that those composed abilities still exist. Inside of the abilities list, which is fine. Because these don't do anything when they're executed. So like if I call execute on this, like it doesn't do anything. Where is execute? Yeah, execute does nothing. So if I want to execute the abilities inside of a composed ability, I actually need to call get abilities to execute. And so that's what this flattened composed ability is I could take a list of composed abilities and then just get the flattened list of all of the base abilities that I need to execute in order. So yeah, I guess the fundamental problem is that because this non-combat ability is in this abilities list, because it belongs to a combat ability, it's still having its abilities flattened and executed, which is increasing the turn cooldown every time. So I need a way of filtering out the non-combat composed abilities from this abilities list, which is why I think that in my collect composed abilities recursively, oh gosh, I'm doing this in all kinds of places. Oh boy. I actually have to think about this one. This is going to be a difficult one to fix. So when I call flatten composed abilities here, I almost need to like ignore non-combat composed abilities in here. Well, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Gotta love when things get tricksy like this, am I right? Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Well, I mean, what can I reasonably do about this? Where is this flattened composed abilities called? In all kinds of places. This flattened composed abilities, this is just iterating over all of the source abilities here. Well, this is taking a base composed ability in here. Recurse, composite ability, get abilities to execute. Yeah. If ability is I, composite ability. So I almost need like an additional filter here. Like I basically need to say, and ability is not non-combat composed ability. But this filter needs to be dynamic. Like I need to just say, ignore these abilities when you're flattening it. Oh man. I may have worked myself into a pickle here. What does flattened mean? I just joined. Flattened is just a linear list. So if you've got like a data structure that is nested several levels deep or whatever, to flatten it, I think this is right. Maybe I just made up this word, but to flatten it is to convert it into a data structure that's just a list of singular elements. So I have an ability tree, so I have a series of abilities that are nested, but when I flatten that tree, it just converts that into a linear set of abilities to execute, and it loses all the relationship data. Hello, Dat Guy Hugs, welcome, good to see you. We are currently stuck on a pretty substantial issue here. I think it's going to be the same problem in reverse here too. If a non-combat ability ever has a combat ability, a combat composed ability as a child, then that could potentially execute outside of combat. Flatten is a common term in software. That's what I thought. I'm a week into learning Godot in 5 seconds of listening to you. My head's about to explode. It's all right. You'll get there eventually. Just experience. I'm not doing anything. The only thing that I have on you is experience. That's it. I'm not doing anything special. I really don't know what to do about this. I wish I could simplify this whole code. All this code here. There's got to be a clever way to deal with this. Where is this additional filter being used? So it's only being used in here. So let me just write down the problem here. It finds all composed abilities at any level. However, it does not filter on the abilities that belong to a composed ability. So for instance, a composed ability could retain or will retain a non-combat composed ability in its ability list. This non-combat ability will then be executed during combat. Ideally, this method would return only the flattened list of abilities that can be executed in combat, excluding non-combat abilities. When I click on your Udemy course, the link is broken. Oh, is that true? Is that on Twitch side? Interesting. I'm gonna have to fix that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Must be an old link or something. I'll figure that out. What am I gonna do about this? Oh man. I wonder if I should take the time to rethink this ability tree, because the thing is, I didn't really design this system to be an ability tree from the start. I kind of fell into it becoming an ability tree, and I wonder if doing a more explicit tree structure for the abilities would help clarify a lot of this code and also the predictability of it. This system has just been growing as I've been throwing more stuff into the game. I mean, it's decently manageable now, but I keep running into these like slight bugs where it's not quite working the way that I would expect it to work. I mean, the other thing to do here is I could put a filter in this flatten here. The problem with that, though, is that I would need to do a couple of checks. I would need to skip the flattening of an entire eye composite ability if it doesn't match a certain criteria. I mean, I could do that. Let's see. Where is this flattened composed abilities being used? Get base flattened abilities. Okay, that's fine because I don't have any filters there. That one's also fine because I don't have any filters there. Now, why is it that I need this? Collect composed abilities recursively. I don't know. I need to figure out why exactly I need this stuff. So I'm getting the composed abilities, get all combat executable composed abilities here. Why do I have this outer loop again? There's a reason why I had this. Let's see. Oh, right. So I've got this extra behavior here. Oh, wait, no. Is that outside? Yeah, I don't know. Hello, Chris. Oops, maybe I shouldn't have said your name. Hello, Squirrely Otter. Welcome, sorry. Thank you for the Prime subscription. Yeah, long time no see. Good to see you. Good to see you. How are you been? Of course, I'm sorry, I don't have any, like, chat commands, I'm sorry. If you go to firebelly.com, I think you'll find a link to the course there. I think it also shows up in Udemy search, but I'll fix that link in the about section below. So this should execute ability. Try get ancestor conditional ability decorator. Working ATM, but life's doing okay. That's great to hear. Yeah, good to hear that. Can you modify the get all composed abilities function you pass in to the recursive function to skip non-combat? Modify the get all composed abilities function you pass in. The recursive function to skip non-combat. No, the fundamental problem is that the non-combat ability is a child of a composed ability. I don't remember why I needed to collect the composed abilities separately. I think it's probably because of this abilities to execute filter. Oh, right, yeah. So what I do is I have this outer loop which executes every composed ability. It takes every composed ability one at a time, and then it flattens the composed ability in there. So wait a minute. Yeah, it flattens the composed ability in there, which is also recursive. There's something funky going on here. Do you get something fancy for linking Prime membership? I just did the same. Oh no, what was that? I don't know if you get any, what you call it, Prime stuff. We got Hype Train though. Nice. A couple of kids now, that's great. That's good, glad to hear that. Get 1 free sub a month. It does help me out quite a bit. Thank you, Stray Pointer, for the Prime subscription. Very much appreciate that. So in game, what does this all actually do? Well, that's a good question. No, I mean, this is the ability execution. This is like the core of how the abilities are executed, which makes it like kind of hard to change too, because I'm going to introduce all kinds of bugs if I'm not careful with it. So basically the problem is, let me see if we got to bring out the good old paint here. So the problem is, how do I use this thing? So if we imagine an ability tree, so like this is a composed ability here, and I'll use a different shape. So this composed ability, it owns a base card ability, so the X's are base card abilities. These are like the smallest unit of abilities that they can be, right? But this base composed ability also owns another composed ability, which may own its own base abilities here. So the problem is, when I go to collect all the composed abilities recursively, what I do is I go through the whole tree, and I say, okay, where are all the composed abilities? And I end up with a list that looks like this. 0, 0. Okay, anyway. So I've got one composed ability here, and another composed ability here. This one will make this red. We'll make this a red one. This red one is a non-combat ability, so it shouldn't be executed. So it and any of its descendants shouldn't be executed at all. And at this point, I can detect that. I say, oh, that's fine. So after we filter that one out, we just are left with a list of that first composed ability, right? So then this goes into the execution method. But the problem is, this composed ability, it still has a reference to that non-combat composed ability down here. That's still part of its ability list. So it goes into the ability execution, and it just happily goes along and executes that one as well. So what ends up happening is, essentially, I'm going to make these red X's. So what ends up happening essentially is when I go to execute all the abilities on a card, it goes to flatten the abilities, and it goes, okay, here's a composed ability with its base components. So we got a flattened list of X, X, like that, right? But then, since this is still a child of that, it goes ahead and adds those other ones as well. So what I'm noticing is like this filter is basically doing nothing. I don't know what this exactly is trying to accomplish here. When I go and grab all the composed abilities in a flattened list, and then I filter them out, and then I go back here, this process only works if this non-combat node is a sibling of this ability here, right? If it's a sibling, that works just fine. So it filters that out and says, okay, only execute these combat abilities. The problem is specifically in this relationship here, where a combat ability owns a non-combat ability. Then my filtering that happens in this step basically has no effect. Why is a non-combat ability a child of a combat ability? Well, that is a good question. That is a good question. So basically, the non-combat ability is a child of this. So the ability that's being a problem right now is this permanent fire growth. This permanent fire growth actually, you know what? I think I know how to fix this. Maybe not. But anyway. So this a non-combat ability, this is a child of this combat composed ability, because this all needs to happen as a unit. So this is applying fire, which increases by 1 permanently each time this ability is executed. But this turn cooldown is increased by 8. The turn cooldown increase here is something that needs to happen outside of combat. And I don't want to split this into 2 different abilities, because then I would have 2 legendary abilities on the card. I would have 1 legendary ability that does the fire damage and another legendary ability that just increases the turn cooldown. So I want to group these as a single ability, which is why I have the non-combat ability as a child of this combat ability. But what I'm trying to do essentially is I'm trying to just like go to the entire tree and say, okay, what are all the non-combat abilities? Update all of those outside of the combat context like you're supposed to. And then what are all the combat abilities? Update all of those the way that you're supposed to. Now, what I could potentially do, I wonder, since I am flattening the list of all composed abilities like this here, what I could potentially do is when I do the step that flattens this out into the base abilities, is I could just ignore any composed abilities in here. So I could say when I go to flatten this composed ability here, since I've already done the processing of like collecting all of the composed abilities recursively, I could ignore any composed ability that is a child of this. Because if this is supposed to execute, like let's say that was a normal combat ability, it would be put side by side on this step here. So I could safely ignore any composed abilities that are children of this composed ability, because that essentially gets flattened in this step. And so I would have those combat composed abilities in that ultimate flattened list. So I think maybe that's the approach to take, is when I go to flatten the list. So if I do flatten composed abilities here, instead of checking if ability is I composite ability and ability is not base composed ability, then I add it. And this should be happening after I collect the composed abilities recursively every time. I think that will work. But maybe it won't. So I have it's kind of confusing, because I have composite abilities, and I composite ability can be something that's not a composed ability, but is something else. Like the swarm decorator is a composite ability. The conditional ability decorator is a composite ability. So a composite ability is basically just an ability that wraps other abilities. The thing that's kind of confusing is that a composed ability is also a composite ability. So a composite ability is any ability that can like own or be a wrapper for other abilities, but a base composed ability is a very specific like unit of abilities. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I can't wait to witness the fix for all this, but I need to figure out how to make a basic UI. Yeah, that's okay. I actually don't know if this is going to be a fix, but let's try it. I think that makes sense though, because I'm collecting all the composed abilities. I'm flattening out the list of composed abilities. Then I'm filtering out any ability that shouldn't be executed. That's like a non-combat ability or whatever. And then I take that composed ability list and I flatten that down even more, I think. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some thorough testing on this and make sure that doesn't break. Oh, now it's not even applying the turn cooldown increase. All right. So that fix didn't work. Why didn't that fix work? I don't know. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. Oh, this is passing in a list. Oh. Nope, that's not going to work because I'm just filtering out. Okay, that's definitely not going to work. Okay, I'm going to have to rethink a lot of this, I think. I mean, the easy thing to do would be to maybe find a different way of representing this turn cooldown increase here in some way. But I'd much rather just get the system working in a way that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this is the fundamental problem here. I'm not filtering out that non-combat composed ability when I go to flatten it. Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering, what even is the point of collecting the composed abilities recursively? I don't know what the point of that is now. I'm gonna have to go look at instances in my code base where I have nested composed abilities and see just what's happening there. Yeah, I need to rethink this whole thing. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised that it hasn't been that much of an issue up to this point, to be honest. Okay, well, that's going to be fun. I want to see, where else am I using composed abilities nested? Let me think. I don't know how I'm going to identify nested composed abilities in here. Maybe the hag? No. What on earth? I don't understand. I don't get it. Hello, Bleak. I'm from Eastern Europe. My English is nearly impeccable, though. Well, that's good. That's good. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Random thought. After sinking way too many hours playing Everspace, maybe you don't need a save system after all, just really decent pause screen. Maybe. I hope that a mid-run save system is not going to be that difficult. I just need to make sure to serial. There are certain things I don't need to serialize, but the main things I need to serialize are like the node layout. I mean, there's two approaches to a save system. One is just store the seeds of everything, recreate the map. Like, basically, store the seeds of everything and just, like, play through the steps that the player's done, so how many notoriety levels are there and what nodes have been visited, all that good stuff. That's one thing to do. I am going to have to store the seeds. Oh, that's a good question. How do I preserve determinism between saves? That's the fundamental question. So maybe it won't be that easy, actually. Well, that's another thing that we're gonna have to think about later. Anyway, I'm gonna need to think about this some more. So I don't know if I'm gonna make any progress on this right now, but sorry to derail you. No, it's okay. I've been sufficiently derailed by myself. Anyway, I'll end the stream there. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being here. The system, I just need to sit off stream and think about this a little bit. I'm almost tempted to just like overhaul the whole thing so that it's more of like an explicit ability tree where I can just very naturally like traverse down the tree for everything that's supposed to be a combat ability and then stop when I hit a non-combat ability. So yeah, we're gonna have to think about it, but anyway. Thank you everyone for watching, thank you for being here. Appreciate all the support, and if you want, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto-battler where you can use alchemy to create your own synergies and your own builds. So if that sounds interesting to you, give it a wish list. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you all have a great night. I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you there. And bye-bye for now.